How's it Grant here, and welcome to my camera comparison between the OnePlus 9 Pro and iPhone 12 Pro Max. So just a bit of housekeeping before we continue. The OnePlus 9 Pro is on its 4th system update, so all the photos and videos you're going to see were taken after that update. And the iPhone 12 Pro Max has been out for a while. It's had several system updates, and I've done a bunch of camera comparisons with it. But we're going to find out if the OnePlus 9 Pro and OnePlus's partnership with Hasselblad has actually paid off here, and has OnePlus actually taken that leap into the upper echelon of smartphone cameras, and can they finally compete with the likes of Apple here? So like I usually do, I'm going to show you a bunch of photos and videos in both good and low light conditions, so you can see for yourself whether or not OnePlus is actually taking that leap or not. So go ahead and check out all the photos and video samples, and let me know at the end, drop a comment. Let me know, do you think the OnePlus 9 Pro has actually done enough to now compete with Apple? Or is Apple and the iPhone 12 Pro Max still the top of the line smartphone camera system to beat? Leave in the comment, let me know which one you prefer, and let's go ahead and check out the photos and videos. Hey everyone, I'm in my usual testing spot in the park, trying out the video on the OnePlus 9 Pro up against the iPhone 12 Pro Max. This is starting out in 4K 30 frames per second and the ultra wide angle lens on each. So hopefully this gives you a perspective of the field of view, color reproduction, all that on this ultra wide angle lens as I pan around to give you a feel for what they look like side by side here. And I'll go ahead and switch into the main lens, which is nice that you can do that while recording. There goes 1x main lens on the OnePlus, and we'll go 1x on the 12 Pro Max. So I'll pan around a little bit over here to give you a feel for what these main wide angle lenses look like and how they compare in this setting right here. And I'll pan over here to the right and we'll test out the zoom, and we'll go to this is a 2x digital on the OnePlus. For some reason it's not a 3.3 telephoto. We've got 2.5 telephoto there, optical lossless on the iPhone, and I can go all the way up to a 10x digital there on the OnePlus, and I hope they really improve the artifacting here on 4K zoom here. This looks a lot better at the 1080p footage if you look at my other videos. And I'll go here to a max 7x digital on the iPhone, which looks a lot clearer, and they're both looking pretty stable here at this digital zoom length. We'll go back out to the main lens on each, and we'll test out autofocus here on the post first with the OnePlus. Nice and quick autofocus and refocus away. And again, a really nice shallow depth of field, good background blur and subject separation here on the OnePlus. And one more time with the autofocus. So pretty good autofocus here on the OnePlus, nice and snappy. Now on the iPhone, also nice and quick and snappy. Not quite as much background blur or bokeh as the OnePlus, but really nice autofocus here on the iPhone. So let's go ahead and test stabilization. I'll walk down the stairs here. And so of course these should be looking pretty good here. As far as stabilization, they're both stabilized at 4K, but do let me know if you saw anything there, and I'll pan around here so you can see what this looks like into the afternoon sunlight. Hey everyone, so here's some footage from the front-facing camera on the OnePlus 9 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Now the iPhone 12 Pro Max can shoot up to 4K 30 frames per second, which is what you're seeing here, and the OnePlus 9 Pro can shoot only up to 1080p. It can go to 60 frames per second, but I'm shooting in 30 frames because that's what this video will be exported at. And also right off the bat, you'll notice that the iPhone 12 Pro Max has a much wider field of view, so if you want to fit more in the frame, you might be better off with the iPhone. The OnePlus 9 Pro has a really cropped in front-facing camera here, as you can see, but again, I'm starting out with some pretty ideal lighting conditions outside in the shade so that it's not too harsh sunlight here. But I'll go ahead and pan around so you can see what it looks like here into the changing lighting conditions. So you can see what that looks like here, and the sun's kind of right above me, so to speak, so this might not be too bad actually as we start panning around as far as how it's going to blow out the background and focus on me and all that kind of stuff. But check out the exposure, let me know what you think. But let's go ahead and start walking, and you'll start to see some of the lighting change in and out, so we'll see how it starts to handle the sudden changes in light there. But hopefully this gives you an idea for what the stabilization looks like and the overall quality on the front-facing camera here outdoors on the OnePlus 9 Pro and iPhone 12 Pro Max. Everyone, so here's a low light test between the OnePlus 9 Pro and the iPhone 12 Pro Max. Starting out with the ultra wide angle lens on each. This is at 4K 30 frames per second. So I'll just pan around here so you can get a feel for the field of view difference, as well as how everything's looking here between these two ultra wide angle cameras. And of course in the viewfinder, the iPhone is looking a little bit darker, but some people may like that, a little more true to life than too bright. And let's go ahead and switch between the lenses here. So main 1x wide angle lens there on the OnePlus, and same on the iPhone. So I'll pan around here with this main lens here. You can see what that looks like. The iPhone seems to be flaring out that really bright street light a little bit more than the iPhone right now. I'll go ahead and pan around. And we'll go ahead and test a little bit of zoom here. So let's go to the 2x digital there on the OnePlus. Let's go to 2.5x optical on the iPhone. Zoom in on that sign. 10x digital OnePlus. 7x digital on the iPhone. So that's what the digital zoom looks like on each. We'll back both of these out. And we'll pan around this way. And we'll walk and test stabilization here at 4K. And like I always do, I'll test transitioning from that well-lit area over to a much darker area, so you can kind of get a feel for how these cameras are handling that light transition from pretty light to a little bit darker here as around the corner. But again, in the viewfinder, you can already see that the OnePlus 9 Pro is definitely brightening everything up a lot more than the iPhone. And some people may like that because in really dark situations like this, at least you can see what you're filming. Others may want to keep it closer to what you're seeing with your naked eye. And in that case, it would be more or less the iPhone. And we can go ahead and pan up here into the darker night sky. A little bit of light pollution, not super dark, but definitely darker than what the OnePlus is showing. We'll pan up here to the left, where there's a little bit more light down this alleyway, to give you a feel for what this looks like here in 4K between the two phones. Hey everyone, so we're back with the same test. This time I have the OnePlus 9 Pro in Nightscape mode. So this will limit you to 1080p 30 frames per second recording, and you won't be able to zoom at all in this mode here, but like its name implies, it tries to brighten up everything and really try to illuminate things much more than it really is. And I've got the iPhone 12 Pro Max in a standard 1080p recording mode here, just to show you a difference. And so as I pan around, you can kind of get a feel for what Nightscape is trying to do on the OnePlus 9 Pro. You can see in those trees, the shadows are really lifted and the night sky is really noisy there, but it's doing what it's intended to do, brighten up everything. And the greens in this mode look really neon, but that's kind of just what it is. And we'll just go ahead and pan over here to this way and start walking. I don't think Nightscape is stabilized at all in this mode. And of course, the iPhone 12 Pro Max will be in standard 1080p recording. But already as we're walking towards this darker area, I can see that Nightscape is really brightening everything up. The greens are a really bright neon green. And the iPhone, I would think, would be brighter at full HD here than it was at 4K. But it's actually looking still fairly true to life and really not super bright here at all. At least what I'm seeing through the viewfinder. And I'll go ahead and pause here and pan back up into the dark night sky, and you can really see the noise there on the OnePlus, trying to get as bright as possible. And we'll pan around this way to the left where there's a little bit more light. Again, down this alleyway to give you a feel for how it's illuminating the darkness compared to the what you're seeing here on the iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Downtown, I got that heat, let's go.
Hey friends, so here's some front-facing footage and some low light on the OnePlus 9 Pro and iPhone 12 Pro Max. This is being shot at 1080p 30 frames per second. That's the max resolution on the OnePlus 9. It can shoot up to 60 frames per second, but again, I'm exporting this video out in 30 frames, so that's what you're seeing here. And the iPhone 12 Pro Max can shoot up to 4K 60 frames per second, but I'm keeping this at Full HD 1080p just because it's low light, and if I shot at 4K, it's going to look a lot darker compared to the OnePlus. So just trying to keep everything level and the same here. And as you can see, I'm starting out in a very well-lit area here. You can see all the lights around me. As I pan side to side, you can see all the lights and how the front-facing cameras are handling that. But let's go ahead and start walking to test stabilization. And I'll also walk to a much, or at least a little bit darker area, so we can test how it handles a little bit darker light here compared to this pretty well-lit area. And so hopefully stabilization is not looking too bad here. And as I walk this way, I'll have a water fountain on my right. So that should provide a bit of a challenge for the microphones, see how they handle that compared to the sound of my voice. As you can see, it's a little bit darker here, and I'll stop and pan around so you can kind of see the really bright street lights behind me and how the front-facing cameras handle that, and actually handling it pretty well. The OnePlus is flaring that out a little bit more than the iPhone there. But let's go ahead and pan back this way, and we'll stop back in this darker area to just compare and see how these phones are looking in this darker setting. But I just want to wrap up this video here, and hopefully you enjoyed all the photos and videos. Let me know in the comments which one you thought did better, if you thought the OnePlus 9 Pro kept up fairly well with the iPhone 12 Pro Max, or the iPhone is still clearly the dominant camera system over OnePlus. So again, hope you enjoyed all the photos and videos. Leave a comment with any other questions that I didn't answer in this video. As always, thanks for watching.